This is Marco Marinucci from Mind the Bridge, and today with me we have Serge Lemonde, the Senior Director Worldwide for NVIDIA for Startups. Hi, Serge. Good to
Hey,
see you.
Marco. Hi, everyone.
Welcome to this recording of a podcast. This is actually for a very important occasion. NVIDIA has just been awarded as the Corporate Startup Stars for 2024, so congratulations are in order.
Thank you, Marco. Very proud of this achievement.
Yeah, this is something that I think is now setting high standards over the years, and it's very interesting to have the opportunity to go a little deeper into the activities that NVIDIA has been running in support of the startup ecosystems, and you're the right person to do this because you've been looking at your curriculum and background, you'll be at the NVIDIA, I would say forever, a quarter of a century almost, right? So almost 25 years. And so great run. And you've been running this program for probably also the longest. So why don't we start with a little bit of your path? I mean, if my math is correct, you joined NVIDIA in 1999 or something like that?
Yeah, that's correct. Early 2000 to be precise. When I joined, we were just a couple of employees outside of US. It was a startup actually, so I joined the startup at the time.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And it's actually, I mean, 1999 is the year that NVIDIA went public, right? So we're going to talk about this because obviously NVIDIA's taking the first pages of all the media lately, and even more than lately. So it's definitely a path that we want to get a little bit more insight. So, but let's start from your path there. So again, reading your curriculum, you started as a marketing director first, and then you moved to sales director, and then you started supporting the startups since 2016, if I'm correct here, again, with deep learning with the EMEA and India, and then finally with AI startups since 2022. And now, running NVIDIA for startups worldwide. Did I cover pretty much everything, or did I miss a few steps?
No, that's pretty much correct. It's been first, NVIDIA is a company that allows its employee to experience and move from in different positions and learn and grow in their positions or try new positions. So you're correct. I've started in marketing at the time we were having one product only. That was at the time we were still a startup. It was just about gaming, and then moved to sales to learn the sales job, and I was more focusing on telcos and computing in the cloud already, and that led me honestly to move to AI, deep learning and AI, and we started with deep learning, but it was all about AI startups from the beginning. Right? And so 8 years ago.
Right. What a run. And so speaking of run, again, this is something that is it's very hot in the media. When we're recording here, you just said your quarterly result, you smash every possible record. I think we can have a look real quick at the stock performance here, just as one of the proxies also of the success of the company. But again, the company went public in 1999, really when you joined. And then, as you can see here, it is, almost flat, compared to the magnitude and then of the last 3-4 years explosion here. And then that turn I think this is the news of the last few weeks. NVIDIA is the most valuable company in the world, right? Passing Apple on and off. I know that stock market is something that is always moving, but this is definitely something that is unbelievable in the amount of performance. I mean, I think what stood out from the last quarter earnings is really how you smash the revenue out there, by billions of dollars. So that's something that is really, really remarkable that doesn't happen all the time. In particular, for companies that is not brand new, right? So that's the I think the unbelievable path of a story that is great to tell. So maybe Serge, I mean, talking about from somebody that lived the whole path of that is on this chart. What tell us what how do you live that from the inside, the growth from a company that initially was really focusing on a niche of the graph as a graphic card manufacturers, and then becoming the global leader for AI computer technology and the most valuable company in the world. So how tell us a little bit of the how do you experience this progress from the inside?
Well, from the inside, everything is different, right? I would keep two things. I would like to highlight two things. The first one is I think the world understands now what we do. We were working for years. I mean, it's not a coincidence. This position in AI, right? It's results of decades of work on software more than hardware. Two-thirds of our engineers are software developers,
Hmm.
and so. What does it change? I think the world now understands accelerated computing, that the CPU and GPUs are working together. And so the result of this valuation is the explosion of the demand. The world realizes AI is everywhere. AI impacts every industry. And so, a couple of a decade ago or 2 decades ago, we were discussing with customers who even didn't know the company name NVIDIA sometimes, and they said, "Oh, you're the gaming company, right?"
Yeah.
And this has changed over the last years. Obviously, now the accelerated computing is everywhere. And related to that, the brand itself became more popular. Um, uh, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, still, when I was telling someone I was working at NVIDIA, some people did not know that company. And again, we were still being perceived as a niche company. Today, everything has changed. And even newspapers and magazines and TV are speaking about NVIDIA nearly every day.
Yeah, and clearly, I mean, this is also pretty clear from the results. You are the one company in the world that is making a magnificent amount of profit out of the AI boom, way more than the company that are actually doing AI. They're still they still have to establish profitability to some extent. It's still in investment mode. And you guys are really rocking it, as everybody needs the shovels, for the miners, right? So that's definitely the way that we see it today. One of the topic that I would like to address is also kind of the centrality of your founder and CEO, Jensen Huang. Very visible here. We see him very often here. When I say here in Silicon Valley, we see very often at Stanford, for example. I saw some of his presentation not too long ago. Definitely also a unique personality, as most of successful companies out there have. So here, maybe for the public, how much of this think how much of the result of Nvidia are driven by the vision as a fruit of his own founder.
A lot, obviously. Jensen has a very strong technical knowledge. Um, and so his vision was always accelerated computing. I remember in the early years when it was about gaming, we were already discussing about something called optimized PC, right? Having a GPU, we invented the GPU, and
Hmm.
next to the CPU to have a better balanced PC and better performances overall. Now, Jensen has had this vision for long, but he's also very agile in listening, understanding the tech, listening to the teams, the scientists around the world, and be able to, adapt the strategy of the company very quickly from this feedback. So it's at the same time a long-term vision that he's having for decades, but also all the inputs is capable to absorb, analyze, and detect the trends where we need to, you know, apply research.
And I was listening to his interview not too long ago. One fact that I think that was, just came pretty evident to me is his willingness to always being on the edge of what is next, right? And so the ability to learn. He mentioned that he spends every evening after dinner, to dedicate time to learn something new every day of the week. Again, this is something that is not a teenager or some of the young founders out there. So I think this is remarkable. I think it shows then eventually in his ability to be able to drive a boat that is surfing the wave at probably one of the biggest waves that we have seen in decades.
Yeah, true. He's been able to find areas where computing was having limitations, accelerated computing was having finding limitations, whether it was in performance or efficiency or energy consumption reduction. He's been driving the company on innovation in all these segments. And so we now have not only a GPU, but a full stack of hardware and software all optimized together to deliver to the data centers and to the scientists around the world. And so it's not just about the GPU today, it's about a lot of hardware working together, optimized together, and the pieces of software that goes with it.
And the other things, again, that are pretty well known here in the Valley also about his management style, right? He wants to have companies very flat structure, right? Even at the explosive growth that you guys are experiencing, he has a whole lot of I don't know, many tens of direct reports that typically is not the case for companies of your size. So that's definitely something that is also a factor that makes a big difference in the way that the velocity of development and how the internal communication can travel. So I don't know if you can testify some of that.
No, that's very true. We are quite flat organization considering the size of the company, and we have a very strong company culture. And the objective is to stay agile, listen to the field, learn from from the scientists, from the people who are making business a reality, what problems they are facing. It's all about solving problems and moving quickly, innovation and solving problems.
Hey, can you share any unknown facts about Jensen? That you've been with the company a long time. I guess that yeah, you must know things that people don't.
Well, I don't want to enter secrets, but there is an not well-known fact that years ago, when the company was public but not that big, there was between some execs a discussion that if the stock at that time, before the many splits, we had several splits on the stock market. When the stock will reach $100, someone will do specific things, and Jensen decided to have a tattoo, an NVIDIA logo on his left arm. So that's almost one.
That's a great one. So is that proved? So I mean, it's something that we might look for. Actually, here as a sub information as well. One of our employees actually do have a tattoo of our logo on his neck, but I'm not going to name names. But I thought it was definitely a strong sense of belonging. So that's awesome. So let's switch to the program that is, the main cause of also for the main reasons also for the price of the corporate startup stars of the year. Obviously, multiple reasons, but the core of that is the activities that you guys have been supporting and running in integrating startups. And so specifically, I want to talk about NVIDIA Inception program. The program has been around for quite some time that you are running, and so let's start from that. So give us a high level description of the program.
So Inception is part of the NVIDIA for Startups program. It started 8 years ago. 8 years ago, AI was still a magic word, was the Harry Potter of the industry, right? The developers around the world had a hard time to find data sets. They had a hard time to adopt the many cores of the GPU. They had a hard time to organize the data, to go to the GPU for compute reasons. And so The program started initially as a developer program, and
Mhm.
helping researchers and scientists around the world to adopt GPU and move from one GPU to scale to two and to many GPUs and to nodes of GPUs.
And to understand, I mean, to be clear, you were giving access to APIs, right, to use the GPUs and being able then eventually to test new features.
That's correct. Not only though, it was all about developer support, technical support, and guidance.
Hmm.
Is that GPU good for me? How do I move to the next GPU? So it's not just APIs. We had few APIs at the time. We now have 350 libraries and API covering every domains and every industry. We had less at the time. It was more a developer program again from early days. At the time, no frameworks or very few frameworks to how do you build a neural network was more a reason of education. Over the years, the program has evolved as AI has been impacting every industry and every market, right? So we moved from a pure developer program to help companies, startups in this case, to find business, to be visible in the market, to connect with the VCs. And so now Inception covers from technical knowledge, there's a pillar around that, to discounts on our GPUs, free cloud credits. Usually you prototype as a developer or as a startup on a single GPU, and then you go in the cloud to try to scale and have more compute power. So we want to help these startups at every steps. And the last steps are usually connecting them with customers and
Mm.
connecting them with investors, where we have a second program called the VC Alliance program, Inception VC Alliance program.
All right, so it's multiple steps, multiple layers of support. It starts from obviously, testing the technical background and new features, but then for entities that are, is there a period of time to, to, because they're not, it's ongoing, right? So it doesn't go through batches. So companies would just sign up and being accepted, right, for an unlimited number of months, or is there
That,
is there a limit?
that's a very good question, Marco. Actually, the Inception program is a bit different than classical, I would say, incubators or virtual incubators. We don't have cohorts, right? So you can join at any point of time in your startup journey, whether you are two people in the garage or already a unicorn. You can join the Inception program and you can stay there for free. We take no equity; it's free. There are no hidden cost to it. Um, you can stay there for as long as you need,
Mhm.
as long as you are still a startup. We define a startup as uh, not older than 10 years. So as long as you are in that time frame, you're welcome to stay, because as a developer, as a startup, your solution will evolve. New techniques, new technologies, new APIs will also come to the market, and we will optimize these, so helping you to adopt these. So you can stay in the program for 10 years, virtually, if you're just new, right?
Mhm.
Um, and then along the way, as you become successful and now move to production, then we'll start connecting you with customers, or
Got
we'll
it.
start connecting you with VCs and investors.
How does that work? I mean, you have people dedicated to sectors of startups or regions. I mean, how is the support provided in for the business
We
development side?
Yeah, we have both. So we have um, people, let's say it's a bit like doctors. We have generalists and we have
Hmm.
specialists, right? So depends on who you are as a startup and what you need, but we have absolutely dedicated and very focused on domains or in industries or on verticals, resources, as well as generalists that will help you simply doing marketing, for example, or connecting you with customers. But to answer your question, the team is all around the world, and in
Hmm.
every region we have at the same time generalist and very dedicated teams.
How big is the team? Just to understand also, the size of the
Well,
operations.
we have a lot of resources that shared amongst the company, and not necessarily dedicated just to Inception, but also to developers or to customers. So
Hmm.
it's hard to fix a number, but we have account managers, hundreds of account managers all around the world.
Wow. All right. So let's share some numbers. For example, number of startups involved. If there is any, I don't know how you count the impact here, right? But obviously, if the startups grow and the business grow, that's, I think, is a good reference points for you guys as well. So let's share some
Absolutely.
numbers.
So we have about 22,000 active startups in the program.
Wow.
It's about a third. Actually, it's funny. It's about a third in the US. Let me rephrase that. A third in NALA, including Latin America, a third in Europe, and a third in Asia. It's almost equally balanced. In
Wow.
terms of country, USA is leading by far, followed by China, and then you have some larger European countries and Israel.
Mhm.
In terms of innovation, in terms of number of startups. Um, Now, these are all developing applications, GPU accelerated applications, and building solutions. The ones who are really in position to connect with customers are about 10% of them. And so that's about 2,000 around the world.
Got it. Wow, those numbers are remarkable. I thought that I was reading. This is a very old blog post in the era of AI because it's from 2021, where the number was 9,000, and that represented two-thirds of the AI startups in the world, according to the 2021 view of the world. So we're definitely in a world that is very different in nature and in sizes. So now 22,000 startups and many more to come in AI first.
That's correct. I think it reflects exactly what we were saying a minute ago, right? The explosion of AI and generative AI in the world, and the position of NVIDIA that also now drove a lot of demands coming to us naturally.
Yeah. Do you count back to the impact? Do you count how many of these startups then eventually either get in contact with potential customers through you or with potential investors? So, as you mentioned, there is the Inception VC Alliance that is, a very specific activity of the program. It is kind of unique, honestly. There are not very many programs like this that actually have a hands-on support on investment side. So, do you count numbers of activities, integration, and success stories?
Well, we do definitely track success stories and build use cases with some of the startups. The objective is not to count these, because naturally startups are having, and fortunately they find their business themselves, not just through us, and we're happy with that. Um, More importantly, as you just mentioned, the VC Alliance, we created this tool called Inception Capital Connect. I think this is really important for the startups, and we take a pretty we've been developing a very unique solution where, let's say you have startups looking for investment somewhere in the world on a specific
Hmm.
domain, can be, I don't know, drug discovery or self-driving cars, and they are looking for raise a certain amount at a certain time in a specific geo or globally.
Hmm.
And on the other side, we have this VC Alliance with thousands of members, VCs around the world, ready to invest and willing to invest into startups. So in the VC Alliance, not only we share our vision with the VCs and discuss with them to discuss the trends and so on. I think one of the benefits they really enjoy, as well as the startups, is this IC's Inception Capital Connect, because what we want to do is directly connect the startups to the VCs and the VCs to the startups. Sometimes the VCs are looking to
Hmm.
complete a portfolio with an investment, and if they say, I want to invest $5 million in deep genomics um, in Italy, for example, then we'll find the startup. So we help them finding the startup. So we would really want to connect them. Of course, this is free, and we are out of the loop as soon as they are connected together.
Got it. That's excellent. So I think that drives me to a new chapter that is other activities of NVIDIA in open innovation, right? So this is specifically on the program of Inception. You mentioned investment, so one of the activities NVIDIA does is also direct investment. Obviously, I believe is a separate at minimum business unit, right? The Venture, the NVIDIA Corporate Venture Capital. So maybe you want to say a couple of words about that and other activities in the open innovation space.
Yeah, I probably have three comments here. The first one, I'm not driving these businesses, as you rightly said, but we have two investments branches. One is the corp dev team. They are more focusing on investing in what will directly help the technology and the accelerated computing technology around the world in a strategic way. The second team is N Ventures, the venture arm of NVIDIA, where it's all about growing an ecosystem and return on investments
Hmm.
in a classical venture way. And so these are two different teams
Yeah.
all around the world. And we, as Inception, are a force of proposals, right? We have these 22,000 startups, as I was mentioning. Some
Mhm.
are looking for investment. Some will be strategic to us or strategic for the ecosystem. And one of the things we're doing is not only connecting the VCs, but time to time, we go to, the corp dev teams or the venture teams and say, this startup looks really important for us. Please have a look. And so that's how we interact with them.
Yeah.
On
How?
the
Yeah. Please go ahead. No, I was about to ask, in the corporate development, I believe that one of the outcome is also M&A, right? Are you doing?
That's part of it.
Are you
Absolutely,
being
you're right.
pretty
Yeah,
acquisitive as a company lately?
you're correct. That's also their scope.
Right.
Um, you were mentioning open innovation.
Yeah.
I think it is important to highlight that not only we support these startups or work closely with the private companies all around the world, but we have a, a very strong support of everything which is open source, and we make sure our 350 software solutions that are optimized are available and accessible all around the world for free, whether it's directly on the NVIDIA website, or if as a developer you go to GitHub, for example, you'll
Mhm.
find a lot of resources available. The latest one being this week, has been announced this week, called Bio Nemo. It's all about drug discovery and working at the genomic level on drug discovery. And we have accelerated solutions for the developers. These solutions are adopted by a lot of important companies around the world, important pharma industries. And so this is absolutely open and accessible to everyone.
That's excellent. And that's on GitHub, I assume.
Also, yeah.
Also. All right. I think that drives us to the end of this conversation. Well, maybe the last question I would ask you, considering where our audience is also made of a lot of startup founders, any last recommendation for startup founders out there? What would you recommend of entities or early stage startups also to take advantage of the tools that you have, or more generically of how the market is shaping up?
Invent when you need to invent and focus on your project. But sometimes we see a lot of um, developers, CTOs trying to reinvent the wheel when solutions exist, are free, public. um, of course you can, if you want, or if you have a specific and disruptive approach, but we have a lot of tools that are available to them. And I think sometimes it's going to help them, going to market faster, avoiding difficult developments, helping them to scale quickly. These software solutions are available at all the CSPs around the world, the cloud service providers, so they can start developing on premise on a PC or a server, and then move to the hyperscalers in a very easy way, in a couple of clicks. And so while again a lot of people consider NVIDIA the hardware company, I think I would encourage these founders to look at our software solutions, because we are more a software company than a hardware company today.
Sounds good. And they find all the information on NVIDIA for Startups page?
Exactly. By registering to the program, they will have an intranet, and we will guide them happily to the right software solutions and hardware solutions for them. This is also available on all the developer forums. It's open to everyone. Again, we want to make it very easily accessible.
This is a great way to end this conversation. Serge, thanks a lot, and congratulations again for being the corporate startup stars of 2024. All the best.
Very happy and very proud. Thanks, Marco. Thank you.